said the village didn't exist, but I found it. Thick fog swallowed the streets, every house staring at me like hollow eyes, and I wasn't sure if I was being watched, or if I was already too late. Everyone said the village didn't exist, but I found it anyway. Thick fog clung to the crooked streets like a living thing, swallowing the dim glow of my car's headlights. Every house was shuttered, windows staring back like hollow eyes. The air was damp and heavy, carrying a faint, unplaceable scent of decay. I should have turned around, but something, a whisper I couldn't ignore, pulled me forward. The silence was unnatural, not the ordinary quiet of an empty town, but the kind that presses against your ears, making every heartbeat feel too loud. A crow cawed somewhere in the distance, but its echo lingered too long, warped and distorted. Then, faintly, a voice called my name. Ethan. Just a whisper, but enough to freeze me in place. Shaking off the chill crawling up my spine, I pressed on. The village seemed abandoned, yet alive. Doors were slightly ajar, as if inviting me or warning me. Shadows moved against logic, retreating whenever I tried to focus on them. Somewhere, an old television buzzed with static, the sound coming from nowhere and everywhere at once, vibrating deep in my chest. I followed the hum to a small house at the edge of the square. Its windows were dark, yet inside, a flickering glow pulsed intermittently. Curiosity overpowered caution. The moment I stepped inside, the air grew colder, thick with dust and the scent of decay. The old television in the corner buzzed louder, static dancing across the screen. At first, random images flickered. Empty roads, trees swaying unnaturally, shadows shifting in impossible ways. Then I saw it, a figure. A villager standing exactly where I had passed outside, staring straight at the house. My stomach dropped. When I blinked, it vanished, leaving nothing but flickering light and static. Heart racing, I stumbled back outside. But the streets had changed. The house at the edge was now directly in front of me. Panic surged. My phone showed no signal, not a single bar. And then I noticed the villagers I had glimpsed earlier. They were gone, erased, like they had never existed. A faint whisper slithered through the fog, and I realized the static wasn't coming from the television. It was coming from the village itself. Every shadow twitched unnaturally, every reflection in the cracked windows distorted. I dared to look at my own reflection, and it wasn't quite me. My features blurred, my eyes hollowing slightly, like the village was already pulling me into its fold. I stepped back, breath shallow, realizing with terror that the village wasn't just empty. It was alive, it was watching, and it wanted me to stay. The fog thickened, curling around my legs like fingers. Somewhere in the distance, a faint laugh, or was it a scream, echoed across the empty streets. I knew, with a sinking certainty, that I hadn't arrived here by chance. Something had led me here, something waiting, and I wasn't sure if I would ever leave. The village refused to make sense. Streets twisted back on themselves, alleys led to places I had already passed, and the fog thickened with every step, curling around my legs and arms like living smoke. I needed answers. My first stop was what remained of the town hall, a crumbling shell of wood and stone, papers strewn across the floor, yellowed and brittle. Maps, newspaper clippings, and census records revealed a chilling pattern. For decades, people had been disappearing here. Entire families wiped from existence, erased as if they had never lived. In the shadows, an old man stirred, hunched over a pile of scattered papers. His eyes, milky with age, fixed on me like a predator's gaze. "You shouldn't be here," he croaked. "This village, it doesn't want outsiders. It erases them, slowly, until there's nothing left." I pressed him for more. His hands trembled as he muttered, "The mirrors, they twist reality. You touch them, you fade." Confused, I left the town hall and wandered deeper into the village, following the faint hum of static that seemed to call me onward. At the edge of the church, hidden beneath broken pews and rotting floorboards, I found a narrow trapdoor. Dust choked the air as I descended into a dim chamber, and the moment I stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. The walls were lined with mirrors of all shapes and sizes, some cracked, others warped like liquid. My reflection multiplied infinitely, yet each version was subtly wrong, eyes too wide, mouths twisted, features blurred. Whispers echoed from every corner, names of people I had never met, their faces pressed against the glass, frozen in silent screams. It was then I understood. The village wasn't just a place. It was a trap. Anyone who stayed too long was slowly erased, absorbed into the mirrors. The static pulsed violently. Shadows darted across the surfaces, forming the shapes of the missing villagers writhing in torment. I felt their cold, desperate presence pressing against my mind, urging me to leave before it was too late. At the far end of the chamber, a massive black mirror pulsed with unnatural energy, darker than the rest. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't me. Hollow eyes, blurred features, a twisted shadow of myself. A distorted hand reached from the mirror, rippling across the surface. My heart pounded. The whispers escalated into screams, shadows lunging at me. I realized with a chill that if I didn't act, I would vanish too, erased completely, becoming one of the village's countless lost souls. But destroying the main mirror could collapse the village's power. If I survived, I took a deep breath, gripping a jagged shard of glass from the floor, and stepped closer. The village trembled, alive and aware, fighting to keep me trapped. The static throbbed in my skull. Every shadow, every whisper, every warped reflection was pulling me toward the mirror. The black mirror waited, and I had no choice but to face it. The chamber trembled beneath me. The whispers had grown into deafening screams, bouncing off the mirrored walls like 1,000 voices trapped in agony. Shadows twisted and lunged at the edges of my vision, forming grotesque, human-like shapes. I had no choice. I had to confront the main mirror, the black anchor of the village's dark power. As I stepped closer, the mirror pulsed, swallowing the faint light around it. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't me. Hollow eyes, blurred features, a twisted version of myself, mimicking my every movement with a sinister delay. My instincts screamed to flee, but the knowledge I had gained pushed me forward, destroy it or vanish forever. I grabbed a jagged shard of broken glass from the floor, raising it toward the mirror. The static exploded into a high-pitched shriek, rattling my bones. Shadows swirled violently, forming hands, faces, and bodies of the vanished villagers, writhing and reaching out. Their silent screams pressed against my mind, pleading, accusing, warning me at once. A distorted hand shot out from the mirror. I recoiled, then lunged, smashing the shard against its surface. Cracks spread rapidly, spider webbing across the black glass. The chamber shuddered violently, walls bending and twisting as if the village itself was alive, fighting to survive. Fog poured into the room like water, choking the static, swallowing shadows. One final swing shattered the mirror completely. A blinding light erupted, burning through the fog and shadows alike. The voices of the trapped villagers wavered and fell silent. The chamber collapsed, throwing me to the ground. When I crawled outside, gasping, dawn had broken. The streets, houses, and alleys, the entire village had vanished, erased from reality as if it had never existed. My body trembled from exhaustion, heart pounding, but I was alive. For now, even as I stumbled into the surrounding forest, I felt it a faint pull, a whisper of static in the air. The vanishing village had almost claimed me, and deep down, I knew it still existed somewhere, waiting, patient, hungry. Some places are not meant to be discovered. Some horrors are never finished. As I disappeared into the trees, the memory of distorted faces and hollow eyes lingered. I couldn't shake the certainty that the village would return for its next visitor. And I wondered, with a shiver, if part of me had been left behind, trapped forever among the mirrors. The vanishing village had released me, but it had not let me go entirely.